All right.
Table of contents.
I was even gonna say, like, how are we gonna start this video? Yeah. So anyone that's as obsessed with manga as Thurman is follows the the table of contents and/or rankings for each week of manga, and it's kind of a good way to see if your favorite series is going to get axed or not, etc., etc. And we've been noticing, especially this last week's one. David, you want to get live edit that up?
Let me actually pull this up.
So as he's live editing this up, you can see there's what did you want to say about it, Thurman? Because I see that like there's a shift in like the new stuff seems to really be, we're seeing a new wave here.
Before I do that, big shout out to Uncle Productions for releasing this stuff out.
Yeah.
Letting us know who's
All right.
at this table of contents. So reason why I wanted to talk about this is it's interesting how the rankings has shifted a bit, because we see heavy hitters being not so in the tops. We see My Hero Academia not being so far up, and Black Clover not even being so far up, and these two are some of the predominant manga that are always in the top. We see certain stuff that's never usually been in the bottom three being in the bottom three, and Jujutsu's always been in like the middle. It's never been technically the first. It's the first time ever being first in the rankings, so that's big.
Especially
For
yeah, and then on the other end of the spectrum, as Dr. Stone fans here, look at Dr. Stone.
like
Are people realizing the Dr. Stone greatness now?
it's getting big, man. It's and you remember this is 8 chapters behind, so this is weeks ago. So
I'd have to remember what was happening 8 chapters ago. I know Dr. Stone had a big big jump in popularity among like a lot of the community during like the space shit, when we were seeing like Senku's father's, I know it's not his real dad, but like Senku's dad's like flashback and shit. Like that was a huge jump for the popularity in Dr. Stone. So I wonder if that's kind of coming off of that. And it's interesting to see that Promised Neverland is below Dr. Stone, especially considering what we've been talking about here recently, which is where I think that Dr. Stone has much better consistent quality than Promised Neverland.
Promise Neverland is on the cover page for this week, so I don't think it counts towards the ranking.
Oh, and why would it be so far? Why would it be in a weird place like that? Usually when it has like a color page, it's like just near the top. Like I thought. I don't know. It's weird that it's still kind of in the middle.
Oh, it could be. It could be color page. Could be in that.
I'm not sure actually. Hard to say, but I mean, Dr. Stone being that high either way is a fucking big deal. I mean, but yeah. So, what was your main point you wanted to derive from this, Thurman?
So, it's just very surprising to see, because if you've been following the rankings that I have, Jujutsu Kaisen hasn't been it's been I wouldn't say very low, but hasn't been able to top the heavy hitters. So it's kind of surprising to me that the new manga, it's kind of showing how the new generation of manga is essentially taking over. How it gives these manga hope that your series can survive. And the thing, because what we see is that either you will judge if your manga survives in serialization is how well it does in the ranking system, or how well your first volume sells.
Yep.
If your first volume sales, then you're golden. You don't have to worry about the rankings at all, because you're still making jump money, and that's what they want.
True that.
Because that's the same thing. That's the same thing with Hunter x Hunter and Bleach. So it's essentially.
And I assume Gintama is holding on out of for how big of that series that is, and the fact that I think I've heard that the volumes sell really good too.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a Hunter x Hunter style thing.
Gintama rarely does good in the ranking systems, but the volumes sell well.
Very Hunter x Hunter, yeah.
It's like it's like leaving the legacy that Naruto and Bleach left behind. It's still technically besides One Piece,
That and Gintama is kind of like the last surviving threads of the last generation. Yeah.
yeah, Black Generation. So even in Young Jump. So I mean, it's interesting, and there's a lot of even like series like Act Age, which is still fairly new, beating heavy hitters is surprising. Because I mean that manga hasn't been doing well in the rankings lately. It's always been like in like the bottom like 6. So I mean, looks like all the fans of the new stuff is gonna be. I don't read Jujutsu Kaisen, so I have to check that out. I read Act Age, but I'm not all caught up yet because I'm waiting for because Manga Rock only has like 8 chapters of the series.
I hate this fucking thing. Sorry, David's headphones are fucking stupid. I hate them, and I want to go on Amazon and put a review like, oh yeah, there's this fucking stupid thing that's just like always in the way. But yeah, so I mean, David, did you have some thoughts on this?
It's just going back to like our last discussion of like the new Shonen Trinity. Like I was joking.
Yeah, I thought that I was gonna say this is kind of a good follow up on that.
Yeah, like I was joking, like Hot Springs might be one of them, and then I see it down at the bottom. Like, oh shit, I might have been wrong.
Remind me, which one is that again? Is that the one you guys liked a lot?
Yeah, it's the
harem about like a ghost in the hot springs. I want to do a discussion video about that. I don't hate the manga. I don't hate the manga, but I feel like as far as harem goes, it doesn't have a
subpar harem.
It's like,
dude, Thurman
like
is the master critic of harem. He's like, nah, this is trash harem. This is god tier harem.
You see,
but like,
I fairly enjoy. Yeah, I think the manga is very enjoyable. I laugh at the jokes. I think I find myself enjoying reading it. But I see the way I see this manga going. I don't see it having a clear path.
I mean, but isn't it good to be unexpected too, though?
Well, that's true, but
if you know exactly the path it's going, I mean,
that can also be a double-edged sword because we kind of really don't really know where the Promised Neverland is going, and we're super critical of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a fine line. Like, you want like a goal, like an obvious goal that they're going towards, but so you know what to root for, but not like predictableness. But yeah, but like refocusing this towards the rankings, because there's not a lot to talk about. It's just more of like a like this probably be more of a short video. But like the point here is that it seems to be like new shit is taking over as the old generation is going out, and it's been happening for a while. And seeing shit like Dr. Stone and all this other stuff being above Black Clover and My Hero Academia, that's just nuts to see. I mean, any of you have any final comments? Because I don't think this video needs to be dragged on.
Even Haiku, and Haiku is usually a top 5.
Yeah, so
very popular.
Yeah, that's one that's fucking merch everywhere. That's got it's one of those that you see a lot of, and it's just kind of strange to see it, down there near the bottom. Is this a shitty arc? Is this?
It's interesting that because tastes change. That's the interesting when you see that. Like, people aren't always going to be into the long running shonen fight style stuff. People might like the new format, like the Dr. Stone style format, where it's not really about fighting. There's fighting in it, but barely. It's got a different narrative structure, and I will always have a place in my heart for like the long running shonen fight stuff, and I hope that there's always at least 1 or 2 running, because I do love those, and in my heart that has a place for those that always needs to be filled. But I like that different things are getting picked up, different ideas, and that's really neat to see.
Yeah, man, because I mean, some of this stuff is new, like Seiji Tanaka, Alice and Tayo. Like, I've never heard of this stuff, but I mean, those are doing pretty well. Like, usually new series always have, always at the bottom, but some of these new series are even beating, like, well, Gintama, we can take Gintama out of there because, you can't really beat Gintama in volume sales, besides One Piece or My Hero.
And how much longer is Gintama supposed to be going?
It's in its final arc. We'll probably have a few more chapters left.
Damn.
We're getting ready to wrap it up. Yeah.
Are you gonna cry? Are you gonna cry, Thurman?
For real, I love this series. My favorite.
No, because I'm gonna fucking cry when One Piece ends. So I mean, I'm legitimately curious. Are you gonna have a moment?
Yeah, I will.
Aw, manly tear.
One
One single manly tear.
Yeah. Make sure it
the one
lands
thing I
on
wanna-
some colorful poop.
Oh wow, that's so sad
They
that
all
we were
just-
thinking the same joke there.
One thing I do think about before we close off here is
Yeah.
two things. One, the nose notes being so low. Now, nose notes is surprising because nose notes has actually been doing fairly well in the rankings. So it's kind of surprising to see it being bottom 2. So
Did it
I
have
don't-
like a shitty chapter 8 weeks ago?
Um, I'm also reading Nose Notes, but I only read the first chapter. It's a pretty decent first chapter. Nothing to complain about. But Manga Rock doesn't really have all the chapters yet, so
I wonder if it
Manga
took a
Rock
big
doesn't-
dip or people just got on it. Like sometimes like a premise is really good and then it just kind of like botches it immediately.
yeah. So I don't know how well the manga volumes are doing right now. I have to look it up. But
Or
I
if there
mean,
even is a volume yet.
it should be. It's been in the rankings for a while
Yeah.
now. It should at least have one manga volume.
But yeah, I mean that's the main point of this. It's more like a news update video of like, hey, look at these rankings. It's good shit. All of us.
And then
I hope this wasn't. I hope this was a more like chilled out, relaxed, grab a cocoa and sit next to the fire type discussion because all of us just woke up, and I have a fucking horrible headache.
Well, that construction really doesn't help that, does it?
Oh my god, yeah. Final thoughts here, Thurman?
Has there ever been a crossover in the rankings? Because one thing I want to talk about was Fisher's Cross One Piece 7 Treasures. Like that kind of confused me. I was like, what is that?
I have no idea what that is. I assume that maybe a Google or two could figure that out. I'm gonna guess it was. I'm gonna guess it might have been some fucking special promotion thing with One Piece. Maybe, I don't know.
Remember, didn't fucking Dragon Ball Z do one with fucking KFC over in Japan?
Oh my god, yeah, there was the. I don't know if it was KFC, but there was a fast food restaurant that had like a container where like the fries looked like the Super Saiyan hair, and I was like, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, I think that's good for this video. A piece.
Yeah.